Good afternoon, friends. I hope you everybody are very safe and healthy. No need to ask that whether you are at your home, because if you are listening me, you are at your home. So, friends, today it's going to be a very important and very informative session on how a student should deal and change their procedures in this tough situation of COVID-19. Now, what happens is you students get a lot of informations, parents, students, everybody get a lot of informations from here and there. And specifically when we are all locked down, we are really uncertain about what kind of informations we are getting and what are the main sources of those informations, whether the informations are real good informations or just rumors. So in this scenario, we along with Goodwind and HDFC Credila has taken a step to provide all the authenticate information with regards to admission process, visa process, and the governments have made changes in their respective countries to welcome international students. So first of all, it is very much necessary that the information what you are getting in this session has to be the most authenticate one. And to that, I would like to share and introduce myself and my company. I'm a director of Goodwind Education and Career Consultancy Services. Academically, I did my chartered accountancy some 22 years back, and I'm having an experience in providing overseas education solutions. Specifically, I provide admission and visa guidance to the students seeking further studies options in all major advanced countries like USA, Canada, UK, Australia, and Scandinavian and European countries. I'm also a member of many international bodies who manages the conduct and codes of international students recruiters. Few of them are AIRC, ICF, ARI. I also visited several overseas universities and discussed the admission parameters with the university officials, because sometimes the education pattern is different in our home country and the education what we are taking overseas. I've also been speaker and been invited to provide lectures at many universities and colleges for appropriate study abroad options, because there are certain kind of degrees or studies which are not at all accepted in other countries, like medical and paramedical studies. They are not at all accepted in two different countries. Like India does not accept USA's pharmacy, physiotherapy, dentistry, medicine studies. Same way they also don't consider our studies. So there are many bridging exams, there are many solutions available to the students that how a doctor of Indian doctor can study further, or an Indian physiotherapist, or Indian pharmacist, or Indian architect, or Indian chartered accountant can study further and practice further in those advanced countries. So is today what we are going to discuss is about what changes adopted by several countries and universities to cope up with this COVID-19 situation. Now, basically, we are going to discuss the changes adopted by countries and universities in 4 major countries, but you are allowed to ask the questions with respect to other countries as well once this session is over. So today we are going to discuss the changes adopted by universities and countries, specifically Canada, followed by UK, followed by USA, followed by Australia. And this would really help you how you should proceed further for your study abroad options to these respective countries. So now first taking to the Canada, will directly come to the point. Now first taking the Canada, what has happened in this COVID-19 situation? Canada was one of the last country who has gone for that travel restriction and who kept a ban on foreign travels nationals. Okay, they started by late March and beginning of April. So what the first government of Canada announced on April 1st, the air travel ban for foreign nationals in entering their country up to at least 30th June. So they said that they won't allow any foreign national to enter Canada till 30th June. Now, in these circumstances, what the students are supposed to do? Now, there are many circumstances. The students have secured their visas, or they had applied for their visas, or they have got their admit, or they were planning to join. They were planning to apply for their visas, and they have kept they were ready with their visa files, and their classes were going to start in May, June, somewhere in May or June. They were planning to take their further studies in summer intake. So what they were stuck up. They have a lot of dilemmas and issues and doubts in their mind that how their studies would proceed. Now, I will just summarize the points, and then we will discuss in detail each and every circumstances and each and every changes what universities and government has made. Now, first thing, the university, what they did is they have started accepting more exams instead of IELTS to assess your English language proficiency. So the first point is more alternate exams to assess English language proficiency instead of or in lieu of IELTS. Two such exams is Duolingo and PTE, that is Pearson Test of English. We will discuss more about Duolingo in our coming slide. Few universities of late, students must be aware of that universities, if you want to get into a master's program, they have started asking for GRE test, as there is a huge rush and huge competition in this application process. So all these times you have to schedule your date and give your exam, GRE exams, at their test center. But this GRE has ETS, who is conducting GRE test, has started taking an home edition of GRE exams, and now you can take those GRE exams online at your home, and more details you can find on the link available next to it. The colleges and the universities in Canada has started offering online courses, and also currently evaluating various options and providing various options to the students to defer the admissions of May, that is of summer 2020, to August 2020, that is fall semester, or they are also planning to cancel the May and summer intake. They are also planning to refund the fees which a student has paid, and if he doesn't want to enter Canada because of this COVID-19 situation. Several universities has already started taking these measures, and they have started taking online surveys from their currently enrolled students, and they are taking their decision according to the surveys and the results of the surveys which the students are providing to them. The fourth bigger change is IRCC, that is Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship of Canada, that is a legal government body department, has updated their postgraduate work permit eligibility for international students who are undergoing online classes. All this time you have to take real-time class in the classroom, and that was equal to the number of postgraduate or the period of tenure of postgraduate work permit you are allowed. Like if you take 1 year of course in Canada, you will get 1 year of work permit. If you take 2 years of course in Canada, you will get 2 years of work permit in Canada. But they have changed this to certain extent. And what are the exact changes we will be discussing in coming slides. So now if you take an online classes with certain terms and conditions to be fulfilled, you are allowed to take your postgraduate work permit. Okay, it is not hampered, but there are certain strict conditions which you have to follow, which we'll be discussing in coming slides. As I told initially that there are travel restrictions up to 30th June 2020. There is an air travel ban for foreign national, but then there are certain exemptions also provided to international students and other travelers. We are not going to discuss other travelers, but yes, international students with who can fulfill certain terms and conditions are eligible to travel before 30th June also. Okay, and that terms and all those conditions we'll be discussing in coming slides. So the fifth important point, the changes was travel exemption. International students who has already secured their study permit, that is visas, and who were issued their visas before March 18th, 2020 can now officially travel to Canada with after fulfilling certain conditions. And the most important thing, this is very motivating and very, like, welcoming step taken by Canada government. They have also covered international students in providing financial assistance under their Canada Emergency Response Benefit. On 31st of March, they came out with this provision of Canada Emergency Response Benefit, that is CERB, wherein they were going to provide $2,000 to every Canadian citizen or a permanent resident holder, permit holder, or a work permit holder who has lost his job because of this COVID-19. And on 3rd of April itself, they had extended this definition and they have also included international students who fulfill certain conditions. We are going to discuss that terms and conditions as well, by which an international student is also eligible for the $2,000 of Canada Emergency Response benefit. Okay, so coming to the first point, we discussed about the alternate exams. Okay, we have discussed with an alternate exams. One such exams is Duolingo test. Okay, now what is Duolingo test, how you can take it, what and more about it, I'll be giving the more information on this Duolingo test. The Duolingo English test is an online English proficiency test which is convenient, accessible, and very cost effective for assessment of students' English ability. The test can be taken online anytime, anywhere, from your home, from your own computer. The test duration is hardly 1 hour. The results you get in just 2 days. The fees is as low as $49, which is even 1/3 of what you pay for IELTS or TOEFL or PTE. The link I had provided, you can get more information on that. The test requirement. What are the test requirement? To register yourself, first of all, you require passport copy as you required in registering yourself for any exams like PTE, TOEFL, IELTS. So the test requirement is you should have a passport, you should have a reliable internet connection, you should have a computer which supports browser, front-facing camera, microphone, and speakers. Minded friends, online exams, when my students hear this online exams, they start blushing. They feel that okay, they can cheat anybody and everybody by, like, somebody else can give exam. But then this Duolingo is a very foolproof system. Please don't try to do this kind of things. We have seen instances where student used to take a help of any other fellow student or taken any assistance, and their results were kept on hold and they lose their $49. Some notes came that there was somebody there in the room, or somebody has assisted you. They feel like that they will not give you the results and your fees would be gone. Few more things I'd like to tell you about Duolingo exams and the comparison chart. You can also scribble it down, which I have not mentioned on the screen. But then, if I tell you the comparison between Duolingo and IELTS, comparatively, it's very, very, very easy. And regarding the score comparison, 65 on Duolingo is equivalent to 44.5 on IELTS. 75 on Duolingo is somewhere around 5 bands in IELTS. 85 on Duolingo is somewhere around 5.5. 95 Duolingo is around 6 band in IELTS. There is no individual bands, so it's better that you will get one score. So no need to worry about individual classification, individual attributes. But then in Duolingo, you get 95 plus and around 100, and that you can achieve very easily. And friends, once you are registered, once you pay your $49, you get 2 practice tests as well. 2-3 practice tests as well. So far as I know, it is 2 practice tests they are giving. So it's quite easy, quite comfortable, quite convenient. And to score 100, it's very, very easy. You need to understand the format of exams. You take 2 practice tests, you will definitely get more than 100 plus. We have also got a list of institutes which have started accepting Duolingo, and the list of colleges is mentioned here. It might not be that visible, but then, and more colleges and universities are adding up Duolingo English test as an requirement, or they are considering Duolingo test as an test to check your proficiency. So the list of institute accepting Duolingo is mentioned over here. Friends, one thing I would like to tell you about Duolingo is that though Duolingo is accepted by college, still the SDS visa process, that is student direct stream visa process, has still mentioned that IELTS is mandatory. So now here more clarification might come in coming days from Canadian immigration body or Canadian visa office also, that they will accept Duolingo in SDS as well. I'm just assuming that. I'm not making any statement, friends, because the SDS is still mentioning. See, normally we keep our visa file in SDS, that is student direct stream visa program, and it mentions that IELTS is mandatory, and every student must be knowing that now it is not less than 6 band in each component, that is reading, writing, speaking, listening. So, but then they have not added Duolingo in visa process. Definitely the colleges started accepting. So you can start you can start keeping your admission applications on Duolingo exams. With a Duolingo scores, you can start getting your acceptance also. But we are still not clear whether we can keep our visa file on SDS or not. In coming days, we can get certain clarifications on from Canadian High Commission. We might get certain clarifications on this, whether they will accept Duolingo in SDS program or not. Second thing we discussed is about the eligibility of work permit, that is eligibility of postgraduate work permit if a student, international students, take an online classes. Say suppose you have received an acceptance, you have paid your fees, but and even if you're having your visas, or even you have not applied for your visas, but because of this travel restrictions, if you cannot travel or if you cannot start your studies there in Canada, inline classes on, like, inside classes, classroom, the Canadian colleges has started offering online classes, and the government has also approved. IRCC stands for Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship of Canada, that is IRCC, Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada, has also accepted this offering of online classes by universities and institutes to the students because of this COVID-19 situation. But there are certain conditions. You cannot take whole class, whole course in India, and you can go there to Canada just to take your postgraduate work permit. Now the rules and condition goes like this, that if the students inline courses are being moved to an online only format because of this pandemic situation, COVID-19, students eligibility of taking work permit, postgraduate work permit program won't be affected. This includes the students who have student visa or student permit, or who have been approved for a student permit for a program starting in this summer intake, that is May or June, but who are unable to travel to Canada at this time due to their travel restriction. International students in this situation may begin their classes while staying outside India, outside Canada, and may complete up to 50% of their program while staying outside Canada if they cannot travel to Canada sooner. So here the most important line is up to 50%. If you take your course online for more than 50% of the portion, you are not eligible for your postgraduate work permit. Mind it, friends, it should be lesser than 50%. Now this is an incredible positive development for an international students, allowing them to continue on their educational journey without delay or impacting their future opportunities due to this COVID-19. This COVID-19 would not affect your studies if you take your online courses from an Canadian institute, but it should not be more than 50% of the total course duration. If the distance learning or if the online learning makes up to less than 50% of your studies, you are eligible for postgraduate work permit. The length of postgraduate work permit, the length of work permit would match the length of your program, including both in class and distance courses. So say suppose 3 months you took it online and 9 months you took it in the classroom after reaching there to Canada, it comes to 12 months. So you are eligible for 12 months of work permit. You take 6 months of course online and you take 6 months of course inside the classroom, you are eligible for 1 year. But if the course duration or if the online component is of more than 50%, you are not eligible. I'm emphasizing that if you take more than 50% of your course online, you are not eligible for this postgraduate work permit. That is mentioned in my last line, that if the distance learning makes up more than 50% of the study program, you are not eligible for postgraduate work program. So there was a third most important change regarding travel restriction. We said that there is a travel restriction up to 30th June 2020, but then there is an exemption given to the students who, if they have secured their visas up to 18th March. This does not mean that if you have received your visas before 18th March, you are bound to fly to Canada. Friends, this is just an extra facility, a government extra exemption a Canadian government has given to our students who have secured their visas before 18th March. This does not make them mandatorily fly in these circumstances, because your parents must be worried. Everybody is in in a very doldrum situation, whether to fly, whether to go there or not, because the things are even in a very poor conditions there as well. So in March 2020, Canada closed its border in attempt to help fight the spread of COVID-19. This left international students with a visas wondering if they would able to enter Canada. The government of Canada on 20th March itself announced that international students with visas or who have secured their visas or with study permit issued on or before 30th March would be exempt from ban. However, how soon they can fly, or however the timeline when the exemption would take effect, was left unclear. This totally depends on when domestic and international travel restriction is lifted by respective home countries in Canada. Right now, there is a lot of travel ban in our country itself. Even we cannot fly outside, even if the Canada has allowed us or welcomed us to enter Canada before as we have secured our visas, or a student has secured his visas before 18th March. So this depends on whether domestic and international travel restriction is lifted by the respective home countries. Student with a visas need to know about their entry to Canada under these exemptions. They should know under what conditions or what conditions they have to fulfill. The conditions are, they must inform their airline before boarding that they are eligible for these exemptions, and students will be subject to health check by their airline company. Student with a COVID-19 symptoms will not be allowed to board the flight. This is very common. Okay. The further conditions are, all traveling entering Canada, that is all students entering Canada, must self-isolate immediately for 14 days as a precautionary measure. Even if you are not having symptoms, after entering Canada, you should compulsorily self-isolate yourself for 14 days as a precautionary measure. Now this is very important, and it is very tough to implement, and it is very easily said than to implement upon, because at the port of entry, when you enter Canada, when you are facing a visa officer, you have to prove, you should able to prove a proper plan of self quarantining arrangements which you are having in Canada. You cannot just say that, okay, I will go to my college and I will hunt my accommodation by asking and meeting few people. No, you should able to prove a very proper plan to self quarantine yourself for 14 days after entering Canada. Otherwise, you will be sent back to your home country from the airport itself. Okay. Additional exemptions. These exemptions are also provided to the immediate family members, but they should also follow this about terms and condition. If the immediate family members whose children are studying there or whose relatives are studying there are also allowed or are also having can also encash this exemption. Now what does this immediate family member includes? It includes spouse, common law partners, dependent children's, parents, step parents, and a guardian as well. You need to prove the proof of relation. You need to provide a proof of relationship to both airline company as well as at the port of entry to the immigration officer. Friends, these are just a summary of the information which is available on the Canadian government website, and hence I had tried to mention the source of information at the end of all the slides that where from we have taken this information, so you are quite assured that you are getting the best and the best authentic information on in this workshop, in this webinar. Okay, so these are the changes which we discussed about, 4 major changes in Canada. The last one was that CERB, that the international students eligible for a Canada emergency response benefit. As I told that, okay, government is going to give $2,000 per month to every person, every citizen, every permanent resident holder who is there in Canada and who has lost their job. And within few days, they had also included international students with certain terms and conditions. So what are the terms and conditions, and in what way they are eligible for this $2,000? I will just go through very fast in this. In March 2020, the Government of Canada announced several measures to help Canadians navigate the economic impact of the COVID-19 across the country. Among this, one of them was Canada Emergency Response Benefit, the designed to provide financial assistance of $2,000 per month to those who have lost their jobs due to this coronavirus, COVID-19. Immediately in next 2-3 days, as of April 3rd, 2020, the Government of Canada confirmed that some international students would be eligible to receive CERB if they meet the rest of the eligibility requirement. The eligibility requirements is to apply CERB, you must fulfill the following criteria as a student. You must reside in Canada and be at least 15 years old. You must have valid social insurance number, and if you are not having that, if you are not a citizen or a permanent resident of Canada but are an international student or temporary foreign worker, you may be eligible to receive CERB if you meet their eligible requirement. You must have stopped working due to COVID-19 related reasons or are eligible for employment insurance, regular or sickness benefit. You had an income of at least $5,000 in a previous year or 12 months before the date of applying for a CERB. You expect to be without employment or self-employment income for at least 14 consecutive days within the first 4 weeks period. The details are again taken from a very official Canadian government website, and you can get more details on this. Friends, this does not mean that a student can claim CERB by saying that I was going to take a summer internship and I was going to earn, and now because of COVID-19 I will not able to take my internship, so I'm eligible for this $2,000 assistantship. No, they are not eligible in that way. It is only available to those students who had lost their jobs because of this COVID-19. Moving fast towards another country, that is United Kingdom. Now here also the country and the universities has started making changes, but personally what I feel that there is no synchronization between the changes made by government and the universities. Now let us discuss that, and I'll discuss much in detail when we go in further slides. In United Kingdom, universities have also started postponing their summer intake to September intake, that is fall intake. Few universities like Northumbria University and other universities in North has postponed their May intake by 1 month because there the COVID-19 has not affected that much. But specifically in England and in London, they had started deferring the intake itself. In northern part, they have just deferred it by 1 month. The May intake will start in June intake. But every university has got its own intake requirement. Few universities have started providing online courses. Now here there is a huge lack of synchronization between government and the universities. See, universities has started providing online courses, but then after completing online courses, when you are flying to the to United Kingdom, you have to have a new CAS letter, that is a new admission letter. Now if that new admission letter is of less than 9 months, means if the remaining studies is of less than 12 months, 12 months, then you are not eligible for that post study work permit or graduate route work permit program. So government is yet to give a new guideline on a CAS letters, that if a student has partially completed online studies and partially in classroom in United Kingdom, and if the classroom studies duration is of less than 12 months, how would be his, or would he be eligible for his graduate route work permit of 2 years after studies as they have committed? But still there is no such guideline. Some universities has extended the deposit deadline for the September intake. The deposit deadline so far for September intake was May, but now they had extended it up to June because of this COVID-19 lockdown. Okay, many UK universities have started organizing their online English test. Instead of considering Duolingo, here the universities have started taking their own online test as an alternate to all IELTS test, as students are not eligible to give their COVID-19 or give their IELTS exams due to COVID-19. See, now suppose the situation which we discussed earlier, that the student has received CAS. CAS is an admission letter, that is confirmation of acceptance of studies, is issued by a college, and the students have already applied for their visas. Now suppose even if he receives his visas, because of his travel restrictions, he would not be able to travel. So in these circumstances, students are advised to confirm the visa decision to the university and home office compliance team, because as of now, if you change your term or if you defer your term, the home office has asked, the only provision the home office and UK consulate is having is to apply for your visas again and to have your new CAS letter with the new dates. They might come, the UK government might come with some relaxation of reapplying for those students who are applying and who has like withdrawn their applications. But as of now, the process, the cost is only process, and the cost is of that of a new visa application only. So there is a no synchronization between universities and UK High Commission about the CAS. So if you are taking an online course in UK, please friends, before paying fees or before taking online course, please clarify from your university about the CAS letter. If the duration in the new CAS letter is of less than 12 months, then you will not be allowed to your 2 years of graduate route work permit extension. The details, see, the second point mentions that the university is still trying to get approval to the extent that the duration of the course, so that they can issue a CAS, that is confirmation of acceptance of studies, for more than 12 months duration, so that the student can be eligible to apply for graduate route 2 years work visa extension. Details regarding duration mentioned in the CAS are yet to be confirmed from the university. So friends, before taking online courses, please get this point confirmed, or else might be possible that your new CAS letter for studies in the universities of less than 12 months, and you might lose this graduate route 2 years work permit, work visa extension. If visa already granted, student has to get a new CAS and apply UK High Commission India to change the detail on that winded sticker. Winded sticker is nothing but a visa sticker sticked on your visas. The student has to pay additional health insurance surcharge. It is highly recommended in such circumstances, to the students who have already applied for their visas, we would highly recommend them to withdraw their visa application rather than going for your visa fees, paying visa fees again and new applications again. Now, moving fast to the third country, United States of America, USA. So, like friends, you must be aware that USA even today is inviting highest number of students from India. And what we have seen is they are in complete synchronization. They are in complete clarity for what they want to do with their international students. And government, universities, consultants are in full synchronization, and they, on the contrary, because of this COVID, has started actively responding to the students to remove all and each and every doubts. In fact, here what we found that this was the first country, and the universities here were the first to take an alternate measures. Like few measures what United States synchronously take, who have been, like synchronously taken by universities and the US government, are this, that they have started accepting Duolingo exams, both from visa point of view and from admission point of view. See, in Canada, SDS, the visas are still mentioning that IELTS, in SDS visa provision, it is still mentioned that it is only IELTS which is compulsorily required. But in USA, universities as well as consulate has accepted alternate exams like Duolingo and PTE. ETS, who is conducting GRE and TOEFL, they were the first to come out with at-home edition of GRE and at-home edition of TOEFL IBT. That is, IBT stands for Internet-Based Test. More universities have started. This is a very inviting point. More universities have started giving GRE and IELTS waiver because they knew that students are not able to get their GRE dates. Their GRE and IELTS has been cancelled because of this shutdown and COVID-19 pandemic situation. So they had started giving GRE and IELTS waiver. Not only that, they had also started giving conditional offers. The universities have started giving conditional offer letters, keeping final semester, final degree certificate pending. But yes, the condition is that the students are supposed to submit final mark sheets before registration of their classes in the United States. So there is a huge, even the visa, sorry, yeah. So they have started giving admissions. They were in fact giving, and they have continued giving admissions, keeping their final mark sheets of the final semester and the provisional or a degree certificate pending. Few more changes is SEVIs. Like in United States, every student has to have an I-20. That is an official admission letter from the university, and that is one of the document which has to be there in original. Every student, when they are applying for their student visas, has to have their I-20 original, and that has to be signed by the university official and couriered it to the student, and student has to again countersign on that I-20 and has to carry that original I-20 to the consulate, US consulate, when they are going for their visas. US consulate, like SEVP is the body which issues I-20, that is Student Exchange Visitor Program. That is an official body who collects the SEVIs fees and who issues I-20. SEVIs has, like, at the end of last month itself, by the end of March itself, they came up with a provision that now, because of this pandemic situation, university, rather than sending the original I-20 through courier and it being delayed or, like, stuck up in the courier, they have made a changes, temporarily made a changes in a rule that now a university can issue a soft copy of an I-20 through email to the students directly. Friends, this was a very proactive step which has reduced lot of time consumption, lot of time which was taken by, like, by a student in receiving their I-20. So they can receive their I-20 very fast, and then they can start scheduling their visas. So reading the first point, SEVP has lifted the restriction on mailing physical form of I-20, allowing schools or universities to email I-20, which will be considered as an official foreign visa purpose. It means as of today, students should no longer wait for original signed I-20 in hard copy. Many universities have started offering online courses for the initial semester without affecting their OPT eligibility. OPT is an optional practical training. See, every country uses their own terminologies to provide work permit after studies. In USA, if your program is a STEM-based program, everybody is aware of that you get 3 years of work permit. Now in UK, they are still not clear that if you take an online courses, whether you are eligible for 24 months of 2 years of postgraduate route of work permit. But here USA, it does not. If you take an 1 semester of online course, even whole semester of an online course, and remaining 3 semester in USA in classroom will not affect your OPT eligibility at all. This is a very proactive step. On the contrary, what we are assuming is that if you start taking online courses, you will save your time and you will also increase your probability of getting visas, because it will be very much easier for a student to convince visa officer that they are a genuine student who is willing to take his further studies in United States, which is one of the key reason of getting visa rejected. One very beautiful point is that minimum or no deposit for acceptance or admission, or even before visa issuance. If you see Canada, if you see Australia, if you see UK, in Canada you are supposed to deposit full year's tuition fee before you go, even you apply for your visas. In UK you have to pay 1 semester or 2 semesters of fee before even you apply for your visas. Here there is no deposit or a minimum deposit to book your seats, and even after you get your visas, and you have to pay your fees after your visas. So this is a much welcoming step which has been initiated by many universities. One more beautiful thing is, in United States you are directly entering into a bachelor's or a master's program, and you are eligible for 3 years of work permit after completing the studies. Unlike other countries where the master's or bachelor's program are very competitive, like in Canada, to get into a master's program is very competitive. You have to take a route of diploma, postgraduate diploma, certificate, postgraduate certificate programs. But here you can get into directly a master's and a bachelor's program and get up to 3 years of OPT after completing your studies. So now I think I'm done with my presentation part.